Okay, everyone. So today we're looking at section 6.4. So we're continuing our talk on titrations. Um, the first part of this here is looking at how we can use acid-base indicators with our titration process in order to determine when we've reached our equivalence point. Okay, so on in your yellow packages, page 522 or appendix table A6 has a whole list of acid base indicators that I'm going to refer to, or that the question will refer to, so you may want to have that handy. Okay, so when we're looking at acid base indicators, an acid base indicator is literally just a weak acid equilibrium. Okay, so there's always going to be like the acidic form, so the form that it has when it still has the hydrogen ion, and then the form once that's lost, right? So it's making hydronium, and then it has the conjugate base. So the acid form, and whatever the color is in its acidic form, will be showing if you have the equilibrium favoring the reactant side, right? So that should make sense. So let's say this side was yellow, and this side was red, right? So if you have equilibrium happening and it's more yellow and less red, maybe it's like a yellowish orange, right? That would indicate to us what side the equilibrium is favoring. Whereas if it was more of like a reddish color, like maybe like an orangey red, that tells us that we have probably more than 50% product, right? So just like any other equilibrium, the same thing is happening here in an acid-base indicator. Okay, so they're just using IN for the conjugate base of whatever is reacting with it. So whatever it happens to be, you know, right? Let's say we had something like that. This would now be this here, right? Actually, it should really be this guy gone. But anyways, you get the point, right? So you have the acid form, and then you have the conjugate base form, and it's making hydronium. So, at the back of the book, or I mentioned to you on table A6, right? So this will tell you what color changes will happen at different pHs. So this example is using bromothiamyl blue. So bromothiamyl blue, if you take a look at your table, has a range of change between 6 and 7.6. So any pH below 6 is going to be in its acidic form, or yellow, which means that the reactants are favored. Anything higher than 7.6, you're going to have the blue form, right? So obviously, I mean, maybe it's not obvious, but if you're in a pH that's in between this range, then you're going to have the color that's in between. So in this case, this would be like a green, right? And obviously closer to, greenish yellow, greenish blue, depending on where it's going. Okay, but all acid-base indicators are essentially acid-base equilibrium, right? So here's the table there. Now, when we're doing actual titration, when we're doing a strong acid plus a strong base, right? I guess the goal that we want to have happen is we want the color change to occur at the equivalence point. So just to remind you of that, equivalence point is when your moles of your acid are equal to the moles of your base, right? So when those things happen, we want to have an indicator that will show us we've reached that point in the titration so we know when to stop. So ideally, when you have a strong acid, strong base, the pH at equivalence point should be at 7, right? Because it's going to be completely neutral. So really, the indicators we should be using to do those titrations should be something that will change color in the range that new equivalence point is happening. So bromothiamyl blue, thymyl red, natural red. However, we always use phenolphthalein, okay, in high school anyways. So even though this range does not fit the equivalence point of a strong acid, strong base. The reason why we do this is because it's the one that you can see the change the easiest in. So yes, we might have something a little bit more basic than what we want. However, it's way easier to see the difference between colorless and pink than it is between any of these. I mean, red to amber, those are very, very similar colors. Yellow and red, right? You saw this one in our equilibrium lab where it went from yellow to green and then green to blue. It's very easy to miss that because it looks so, so similar. So just so you have an understanding why, that we lied to you all those years, No, we still use phenolphthalein. It's the easiest one, no matter, even after you know this information. Okay, so an equal concentration of each form of the indicator, so the reactant and product form, will produce the intermediate color, which I was mentioning, the color in between. Okay, so when you have that color change, the middle of that transition is called the transition point or the end point of the indicator. So let's say I had a range of 7 to 7.5, let's say. Our endpoint would be exactly in between that range, right? So 7.25 pH, right? So if one side is yellow, one side is blue, green, where we would ideally want to stop the titration, would be bang in the middle of that. Okay, so at the transition point, right, the concentration of your acid is equal to your concentration of your conjugate base. So as I mentioned, acid indicators, all of these indicators we're looking at are really weak acid equilibrium. So we can write a Ka expression for that, right? If we go back to this reaction, right? So this is like our H indicator, In, plus our water. This is our In after the hydrogen is gone, and hydronium, right? So if we do the Ka for that, it's going to be our conjugate base, hydronium, running out of space, over our acid form, right? So at the transition point or end point, whichever one you want to use, those two values are the same. So they actually cancel each other out. So what that means is at the transition point of the acid-base indicator equilibrium, your Ka value is now equal to your hydronium concentration. So this is going to make life easier when we want to calculate that quickly. Like what is the hydronium for that particular point in time for that indicator. So what that means is if we were to take the negative log of both sides, right? What that means now is our pKa is equal to the pH of our indicator solution, right? Which is what it says right here. Now this is of course only true at equivalence, pardon me, I keep saying equivalence point, but I mean endpoint. So this only happens when those two concentrations of your product conjugate base with your reactant weak acid are the same. If these two things are different, of course, they're not going to cancel each other out. So you'd have to calculate your hydronium as normal, as we would normally do. Okay, so this table is an important one. In your work text, I would put a little star here. So this is like a little, I don't want to say shortcut, but I mean, it's to tell you the range of what is happening to the pH, what is happening to the concentrations when you are looking at the indicator color that is first seen. So at the very beginning of that transition range, so let's say it was 7 to 7.5, and then the 7.25, which is our endpoint, would be in between that, whatever the range happens to be for that indicator. This tells you the relationship of what is happening. So when you first see the color change, you're definitely going to have more acid than you will conjugate base, right? We're not equivalent yet. So your Ka can be useful to tell us what the pH will be at the beginning of that change. So if you take this is showing you how it's derived, but really the what you want to know is the bolded statements here. Of course, we already talked about this from earlier, so this one we already know. but your range is basically -1 and +1 from when your pKa is equal to your pH. So the pH change when the color first begins to, when the color change is first seen, you take your pKa and you -1. The end of that range is your pKa +1. So basically, that's your range, ±1. When they're equal, of course, that means you have equal concentration. So your pH is your pKa. Okay. So an indicator's transition point, pH and pKa value can be estimated by averaging the two pH values over the range. Okay, so what does that mean? So alizarin yellow changes from yellow to red in the pH range from, so we have 10.1 to 12.0. So if we wanted to calculate the transition point, right, you're just figuring out what is the difference between these two. So you add them together, right, they're showing you this here. So you do 10.1 plus 12.0 and divide it by 2, right? That's going to give you the pH. That's going to be where the end point is happening, or transition point, same thing. Okay. So universal indicator is actually the indicator we used when we did our hydrolysis of salts lab, where it can actually cover a big range of different pH changes. Some of you in class were asking me about that, how that worked, and I mentioned it to those of you who did ask, is that basically what they do is they take a whole bunch of different indicators that cover different ranges so that you can see the color change depending on what range we're talking about. So for example, bromothiamyl blue, right, if we look here, will stay yellow in this big, huge range, right? And the actual change is happening in that 7 to 8 range. After that, it's going to be blue. So you can't use bromothiamyl blue to indicate anything else other than really pH of 7 to 8 change, because it's either blue. So if it turned blue, you wouldn't know, okay, it was a pH of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Or if it's below 7, you won't know if it's anywhere from 1 to 7. So in order to indicate the different changes, right, they use a mixture of a whole bunch of things that will change at different points in time. And they kind of overlap with each other, right? So you have a change happening here, you have a change happening here. And then here, really looking at the combination of what's more predominant, right? So phenolphthalein would be, it's not showing it, but it would actually be in that range right there. And I think, and this one as well, right? So red to orange, orange to yellow, right, would be a change spanning over from a pH of 3 to 6. Same thing even with this, red to orange, orange to yellow, right? But the combined color is what we use to basically see, well, which of these columns are we working with? But like how they came up with creating this really was the understanding of all the different pH ranges that these indicators can follow. Okay, so let's look at practice problem number 1. So it says the indicator bromothiamyl blue appears to be yellow at a pH below 3 and blue at a pH above 4.5. Estimate the pKa and Ka of the indicator and determine what color it will display at this concentration in solution. Okay, so let's first look here. So we know we have yellow, and that's anything below 3. Anything above 4.5 is blue. Okay, so if we were to do, figure out the end point here, we would do 3 plus 4.5 divided by 2, which is 3.75. So that's our end point. In other words, this is our pKa. Right? Okay, we'll continue this one in the next section.